What's going on, LukaNation? We're going to be quick to the point today. We hope all of you guys got home safe from travel day. You know, it's been a week, and I think just reading from the sentiment of people's stories, their posts, the activity on Instagram and social media, the amount of content created, I think people had a really, really good time. And guys, we'll do our coffee with Cage later this week. It was a crazy travel day. I know all you guys are traveling today too to get home, so get home safe. And picture this, LukaNation. So Cage flew out last night. I flew out this morning, and I got home probably 6 hours before you?
Yeah, just about, because I didn't really fly out last night. I was supposed to fly out last night. Yeah, we could have done a whole different episode. Sorry for our audio yesterday. We're recording in the airport for yesterday's episode and recorded, and I sat there and sat there and sat there some more, and the plane got delayed, and then it got canceled. And then, yeah, I was back there this morning. Loads of fun.
Talk about what Starstock did. So you Scott was on your plane.
It was actually pretty
Dean
awesome.
was on the plane.
So I ran into, it's amazing how small this world is, right? You know, we'll talk about it, like the one deal that I made, and it was with Sasha, right? And he's somebody we know already from our group for years. It wasn't a new person. It wasn't like, you know, a dealer who was at the show or anything like that. It was, you know, and that I get to the airport last night, and Bagels and Wax, obviously he was there because he was on our episode yesterday. Pretty awesome. A couple of other guys there, you know, breakers from New York. I've run into one of the guys who owns a store here in my town, who I didn't even see at the show. I saw him at the airport. I didn't know he was at the show. He was walking around with like panini cases for his store. And we were talking for a while. I turn around and I see Scott Greenberg from Starstock. I bring everybody over, introduce Bagels and Wax. And we're just sitting there with a delay. And Scott's like, "Hey, my guys are breaking. Let's go. Let's get in a break. Let's get in a break right now. We're going to break on Starstock." And we broke a box of Select. I'm sure the video is up there. We broke a box of Select basketball. I mean, really cool product. One of the guys got a silver Halliburton. I think there was a nice maxi hit in there. It's one of the autos. I think my best hit was an Onyeka Okongwu relic, not an autograph, just a relic, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, it's really funny, man. You know, it's great. We get together, everybody's miserable, and we're over there breaking. We were going to set up a little trade night over there in the airport. It was pretty funny. You know, you try to make the best of a bad situation. It's nice to have somebody like Scott Greenberg sitting there saying, "All right, here we go. We're really going to make the best of this. Let's break a box." And what's funny is what I learned a couple things, right? One, people love breaking. That's one. I mean, these guys they're insiders, they're breakers, and they're like, "Ooh, look, who am I gonna get? Oh, I see a blue." You know, like even they're getting excited about it. The guy who owns the store by me, you know, he wanted to open a different box, so he's saying, "Scott, I want that other box. When we're done, I want that box. Like, let's go. Tell him reserve that box. I'm gonna break another box after this box." And
little cliff note: it was the first box the breaker touched, which apparently graces the box with hits.
Yeah, because math goes out the window. Like odds actually go out the window. It's superstition. Superstition is the way to go. So I learned that, and I learned also what was really funny. We're sitting there with guys who are insiders, guys who own stores, who are just at, you know, distributors, you name it. And when Scott said that the box was $1,000, they were like, "That's cheap." You know, like that's cheap. Why? You know, that's not really retail. That's like closer to, you know, wholesale price. So, you know, the interesting part is heroes, insiders, not just regular you, me, you know, collector sitting at home breaking. And Starstock's price to break wax is really good. So, you know, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about like breaking a box or something like that, it would appear that Starstock prices for breaks are maybe even a little better than competitive. So just a little
That would be a cool business, guys. I don't know if you remember, like, not like the Groupons of the day, but like a site where you could go on and compare kind of prices of breaks.
Priceline, like
right?
Priceline.com,
kind of like Priceline
or
breaks.
Orbitz, like for airlines, you know, like Kayak and Progressive price out the different insurance. And sometimes we're the best, sometimes we're not. You know?
And it's cool. It would be good for consumers, and it would be kind of like live updates. So anyone out there with a little tech ambition, give it a try. I think it could be kind of cool. But Cage, not the worst way to spend a delayed then canceled flight.
No, that was a LaMelo in the box. It wasn't mine. I didn't get it. Somebody got a LaMelo rookie, so it wasn't me.
So this is what we're going to do today, Cage, okay? We're going to keep it short, sweet. We got a lot of questions. I'm going to ask you 3 from our comments. We're going to keep it to around 20 minutes.
Yeah,
And guys,
fine.
we'll be back with you bringing heat this week.
I'll let you
Before
know
we-
if we got to stop. You maybe stretch it a little more than that. But I haven't asked before you ask questions. Anybody who saw us, took pictures with us, you name it. I got home. My wife she loved the comments about the me on Chinese television. That was recorded by Japanese television. I think it was actually on like Chinese television. Very weird. And she actually has one she thinks is the best. So if we're gonna pick a winner for the slab, she has a vote. I'll tell you later, Andrew, who it is.
let's pick it. I want to read a few of the comments out on
Oh,
LukaNation.
it's so funny. But my ask before you read those is if anybody saw us, took a picture with us, took a little video with us, right? And we didn't see it, we didn't repost it, or you didn't post it yet, send it to us. Post it and tag us so that we can post it as well. Because what my wife said was she was actually looking on Instagram. She doesn't have Instagram, but Ian does. So she's looking on Ian's and it's like, why, hey Cage, why are you not posting more pictures? And I told everybody who was taking a picture with me, post it and I'll, tag me and I'll repost it. And everyone who did, I did. But I know I saw more people than that. I only took more pictures than that. So if you got anything, post them up. I want to repost your stuff.
Well, you know the truth. You're adamant not to be followed by a camera crew.
Yes, it's true.
Like a few camera crews reached out before the national, and they were like, "Cage, we want to follow you around. We want to follow you around." Cage like, "No."
No, well, I listened. There's a couple things. I wanted to be in the moment. It's my first time. I still wanted to go and get a collector experience also, like everybody else does. And I really wanted to meet people and, like it be like a real thing. If somebody wanted to take a picture, that's fine. I didn't need to meet people with a camera crew behind us and, make people feel, uncomfortable, whatever it is. The best was kids, man. Like we met so many kids. Like, I never even got the kid's name. But we met this little 12-year-old who walks up. He's like, Cage, look what I just got in a silver pack. And this one numbered to 50 comp is $30. I got one numbered out of 5, and it's probably worth at least $100. I'm going to put it on eBay right now. And he shows me he's listed on eBay. I'm like, how old are you? He's 12. I said,
Here's my business card. He said.
Yeah, he gave. Oh, so we listen. I want to bring the kid on the show, but we couldn't find a parent to ask. It was it's amazing. It really was an amazing thing. So anyway, if you guys took a picture, you had a story, whatever it may be, send it on. We want to share that as well because now it's like a recap time. We spent all this time at the National, and maybe have some of you on the show. You guys talk about your experience at the National as well. So that's my ask. I appreciate it. I love meeting every one of you. So
we were talking to the kid for like 5 minutes, and then we started walking away, and then you looked around. You're like, "Where are this kid's parents?"
Yeah, 12 years old.
So what was your wife's favorite? Have her pick the winner. I'll read it out.
She picked one.
What is it?
You want me to tell you which one it is? So I'd have to look at the post.
I'll read you a few comments.
Yes.
This was fun. The context, the behind the scenes. This is a Bleecker event. Japanese media interviewed Cage, and they got a great caption in this photo. Heroes for Sale said, "I need this framed and hung up in my future studio." So preposterous and amazing. My favorite, it came in right off the bat, and it was, "I'm not card porn, I swear."
Yeah, that's fine. Is that Ben Carlos?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was right by Dennis Patrick Zenders. I don't want to go off camera, but it basically involved like Godzilla. Like Godzilla showing up at the National. She read that and she's like, "This is hilarious, Godzilla." Yeah.
Let me find it. So Poker Traveler.
Read them. Look at you. You can't even read it without dying laughing. By the way, that was great stuff. I mean, the funniest part of it is not me.
I'm gonna have a sip of water before
I want people who's gonna dub my voiceover. That's gonna be great. But the funniest part of it is our pal Shayway Vlogs who thinks his card 4x'd overnight. Hey, I got this card. I paid, and now it's worth $250,000. I'm gonna start doing that in different countries. See this card I paid $10 for? Look at it. It's worth $3 million now. I swear to you, all of France. Believe me, that's what it's worth.
People haven't seen the video. We need to post the video on the page, huh?
Yeah, we should post the video. Definitely.
It was Cage and Shyway Vlog. So Poker Traveler says, "Godzilla just came out of nowhere, and we were all running, but all I could think of is saving my slabs."
Yep, that's it. That was the one she liked. Because there were a couple Godzilla ones. I think she read that one first. So, it was a little creative about Godzilla. So,
dude, some of these were good, man.
Yeah,
we got quite a few. I'm gonna do a reading tomorrow. I'm gonna let a few more come in.
Yeah, we'll read some. And guys, we'll do more and put likes. Maybe we'll let the one that gets the most likes win. Maybe that'll be the easiest way to do it.
After seeing so many cards, what cards or players are you nervous about holding or buying, and why? Thanks for all you guys do.
Right. So it's funny. Nervous about holding. We talked about this a couple times, and both Andrew and I moved the Luka Silvers. modern basketball, that kind of stuff. It definitely, I am slightly nervous about it because literally every table had one. Every table had one. And that's not to say that, it's not going to go up, and maybe we'll both, not be happy that we made our deals, because as the season approaches, maybe the thing will go from 4,000, 5,000 to 6,000. Who knows? It might go up 20% or something like that. I just don't see long term that being the card. It's very different than, say, like a Giannis Silver, where there's so little of them. So that's kind of where I go with it. Believe it or not, Mahomes Prism cards. I was looking to buy maybe a Mahomes card, because I just don't have any, and I think he's still early enough where there's still some room to grow in his stuff, but he's done enough where the downside for a young player like that, there's usually much more downside. Look like Justin Herbert. But Mahomes already won so much, that yes, there's some upside, but there's less potential downside. But I mean, there were cases where the entire case was just Mahomes Prism in different various colors, and that in and of itself was an interesting thing, right? Because it's not just the base card; it's the waves and the oranges and the base card and silver that year, but the different colors. Go ahead.
I just had a thought, and I'm curious if you agree with this. Who has more downside owning their cards? Is it Luka or Mahomes? And what I mean by that is, how the NFL works, Cage.
Yep.
They game plan for you. They watch a lot of your tape, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And would it surprise you if all these defensive coordinators do for the last 2 seasons plan how to beat Mahomes?
Yeah, but they already have. I mean, they've been trying to game plan.
And what if Mahomes doesn't win another Super Bowl in his career? What if he ends up being kind of like a Manning type quarterback? Is more expectation priced in at the current price?
I think they're both risky, but I think there's less risk with Mahomes because he's already won. The downside risk on Luka is he never wins anything. He turns into a Chris Paul, or a stat compiler who never really wins, a Barkley or a Ewing or a Karl Malone, right? Basically, hobby irrelevant. John Stockton. I mean, obviously, I think Luka's going to be better than a lot of those guys, and his cards will always be great. But the prices that you're getting, that you're baking in, a lot of success, MVPs at the very least, championships. Mahomes, if he doesn't win it anymore, he's already won. So at least he has, something in his trophy case. He's, pretty quickly heading towards a Hall of Fame career, only after a couple years. But yes, I do think that the prices on Mahomes are so high that it does also bake in future success as well, and that's why there is some downside on it. I think those would be the two. It's amazing because those are like, people go after those. That's Luka and Mahomes. You'd probably be like, oh, who are you afraid to put your money in? And I'm going to say like Devontae Graham. But honestly, the truth is I didn't see any Devontae Graham. I was looking for him because I think he might go sign with another team. And then all of a sudden, boom, now he's, now the cards you bought double. Somebody like that. That's interesting.
He would work really well for the Mavs as a 6-man.
Yeah. I think a lot of teams would use him good as a 6-man, coming to the bench and shooting. But I don't want to talk about him. It's just the point. I use him as a comparison. He's never going to be compared to Luka, Mahomes, that kind of stuff.
Cage, who fell out of style? Michael Porter Jesus.
Of course he did. I didn't see too many of his stuff.
I hate this guy.
I didn't see too much of his
stuff. Of course he did.
Well, because, he disappeared, man. He became a little bit of a ghost. Well, but listen, basketball.
He's 22 years old.
I know. He's going to be great. I'm
saying there's a lot of potential still.
He's going to improve his own skills, and he's going to also improve the skills of the players around him, which will in turn make him better than LeBron. Is that what you're saying? Yes? No, huh?
LeBron, we haven't talked about that guy in a while.
I didn't see a lot of LeBron.
You want to charge me up?
Let's swing the pendulum the other direction. I did not see a ton of LeBron Chrome 10s there, even though those had gone up a lot. I saw a few, and there were some tables that haven't. Obviously, look, I'm comparing a $4,000 or $5,000 Luka Silver Prism to a $18,000 LeBron. You'd expect to see less of those. They're a higher price card, but they are similar pop.
They've been gobbled up. They've been gobbled up, kind of like the Jordans. You know how everyone owns like the big wigs own the 10 Jordans.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's 10 guys out there that own 100 LeBrons.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I do. It's one of those like anyone out there who wants to build a fund, Anybody out there who wants to build a portfolio, anybody out there who wants to have a blue chip stock, portfolio of alternative assets / cards, you have to have LeBron in it. Otherwise, no one's going to take it seriously. So yeah, I mean, I do. But the pendulum swing on the is maybe I should be a little more bullish on LeBron, because I would expect after the thing was sitting at 12 and then running up to 18 and him having very little success in the playoffs this year, that maybe it would come down from 18 to 15 and maybe there would be a bunch of them available there, and there just really weren't. So
I just had a thought. Like, I wonder if the big fund investor guys, like the big wigs that own like 50 or 100 LeBrons, if they don't think about it as owning like 50 or 100 LeBrons, they just think of it like there's 2,000 out there. I own 100. I own 5% of the stock of LeBron. Kind of like you own 5% of Amazon, right?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Let's keep rocking, Cage.
Yeah,
so this is a little bit more specific. This is from Thrill Chan. I wasn't going to ask this, but LCSs. So maybe shed a little light. He asked, he had a little, so an LCS pulled a deal on him. So how would you react to an LCS that makes you an offer on a card to which you agree? They tell you to come back tomorrow, and then they offer 75% of the agreed upon price.
So the LCS is now welching / reneging. How would I react? I would tell them that it's not a good way to do business, and obviously you probably spend money at that LCS. I would ask them one more time to kind of stick to their deal. It was a handshake. Look, they're handshake deals, and if they didn't do it, they'd be losing whatever business I had. But listen, I don't know where the question comes from. Where I live, there's 2 card stores in my town. Plus, there's other places around you can buy. You just can't drive out, and get a box right now. You'd have to buy on eBay or buy on, Blowout or wherever it may be, and still get whatever it is you need. If you're in some, smaller town where there's no other card store for miles, you may let it go, use the card store for what it's worth, but never really forget that. It's one of those things I said to Andrew, there are people who reacted a certain way towards me at this show. And I said, Andrew, I'm like, did you see that? And he's like, yeah, but who cares? And I'm like, I don't care. I'm not ever going to say anything to that person, but you put it in your memory bank. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you. I won't tell anybody else. I won't announce it to the whole podcast world here. I won't. LukaNation won't all know. But it's funny how
Cage is a competitor. He uses that as fuel too. So all you people out there, that's just kindling.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, listen. I got to tell you. There are some real awesome people in the hobby. There really are, man. So I'll get to that in a sec, because I know there probably going to be questions about that as well. But just to finish up on this, really, it depends on how much you need that store, right? If it's a store that you could just pass on and go another mile in the other direction and go to another store, you let the guy know, done, or you don't even do anything. You just never go back. It's sort of like a Bronx Tale, right? He chases the guy across the street for the $20, right? And Sonny says to him, what are you chasing that guy for? He says, he owes me $20. He goes, $20. You're rid of him for $20. You never have to deal with this guy ever again. He's never going to bother you. Never going to see you. He's gone. You got off cheap. Same thing here, right?
That's how I feel about Spirit Airlines.
Spirit Airlines. That's how I feel about almost every airline now. But that's for you. Look, maybe you got off cheap. Maybe the next deal, maybe he was going to get over on you worse. You now found the shop's true colors, and you just cut bait and never go back ever again. He loses business.
I'll go a different direction on this, and I agree with that 100%, Cage. Like, you vote with your dollars. I don't know if anyone's ever heard that. Like, vote. But there's a big difference between selling and closing. I learned this in my early days of sales. When they tell you to come back tomorrow, you say, I can't come back tomorrow. If tomorrow, I have to give it to someone else. So there is the element of closing a good deal when you have it. And I think we all known when we had like a deal on the finish line, and time kills deals. Cage and I always say that to each other. So there's a big difference. And I learned this in my early sales days of selling and closing.
Yep.
Wax Pack Legends. What did you say?
I said, I sell, Andrew closes. There's the difference.
I don't know if that's true, bro. Like we'll have that discussion another day, because I think you're a fucking killer. Wax Pack Legends says, you talked to a lot of people at National. What valuable lesson did you learn from someone at the show? P.S. Please have I Am Andrew Goldberg answers too.
Why don't you take it first?
Okay. I've been thinking about this all day.
Because you've seen this question, so you gotta. I try not to see the questions ahead of time. I really try to take it off. Go for it. Go ahead.
Dude, remember how in February I said I'm taking a break?
Yep.
And at the show, I got back into it, and it felt
Yep.
good. Like, first off, you get a rush of doing a deal, and you guys out there, like all the people that know me from my early 20s, they know I'm not a patient person. It's like taking 6 months off gambling or doing deals, or that's not my style. But I learned so much, Cage, during that time, and I guess like I talked to a lot of people. It's a long game. It's a really long game. You can't rush deals. You can't rush progress. You can't rush success. And it's the same thing here. It's literally the same thing here. So like, if you need time to take time, like if you need time to get perspective, if you need to take time off, you could take it and still win long term because you're gonna be able to see and get a pulse on the market. That's one thing. Second thing, and I think this is actually a testament to Sasha Tamanon. I'm trying to figure out how he's been so successful, and he goes to shows. He's not lazy. He goes to shows and he stays up all night, dude. And why that matters is when you
We saw him
go,
at 3 a.m. on trade nights and stuff, right? You know?
dude, he's a fucking killer, and he's not out there like doing. He's always doing deals, and why shows are so important is you get a pulse on the market before the market catches up. So if you really want to be ahead, shows are going to get you that extra inch, that extra mile. So you're going to be ahead of the curve. So those are the two things that stuck out to me, Cage.
So the first thing I learned is that while people may like me, this guy right here, they love even more. I could not go to a table without them asking, "Where's Ian? Where's Ian?"
Ian.
I'm happy to be home and see this guy.
He's
Right,
a
buddy?
killer.
So that was quick lesson 1. 2.
Are you going to bring Ian next year?
100%. 100%. Ian will be there at the next show. 100%. So three to answer this question. Number 2. You've talked about this. It was Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle. There's all kinds of fun stuff. Well, one was Ian. One was that
Okay,
Ian. Everybody loves Ian. Everybody loves Ian.
I wonder if our listeners were also confused.
No, number one is they love Ian. Number 2, and then I'll get to number 3. Number 2 is this. You've talked about this. You know, whether it was DiMaggio, Mantle, whoever it was, the pros know that they have to bring their A game because there may be somebody who it's the first and only time that they're going to see them. Right? This person saved up their money to sit in the bleachers and come watch Joe DiMaggio play, to come watch Mickey Mantle play. And he's got to give it all, right? He's got to go and do it and be there every time. Even if they're getting beat, this might be the only time this person ever gets a chance to see this. What's funny about it is I think some of our hobby influencer celebrity types, they need to behave like that as well. And some of them don't. And I think that's probably bad. Because, for some people, the National is the one show they're going to go to during the year. And they may only have a 2 or 3 or 4 minute interaction, or maybe 30-second interaction, where they try to get someone's attention twice or 3 times or 8 times. Maybe somebody who might just only be selling tickets and weird video game stuff. And they just like throw you off kind of stuff, right? And look, I get it. People are tired. It's a rough haul. It's tough to sit behind a table all day. You got to go to the bathroom and somebody's got to come watch your table. I mean, I get it. There's a lot to it, right? But the flip side to that is I think you almost have an obligation, right? You almost do to be open to people. You know who does it great? I saw every single time I saw he had a smile and had a huge amount of people at his table because of it. Ryan, Card Collector 2. The dude does everything right. He really does. I mean, maybe not picking partners for a podcast host. I'm just kidding. I love you, Tyler. So no, but seriously, Ryan does everything right, man. He really does. And if I ever had a store, or if I ever had a business, that kind of stuff, it's family business. It's kids first. I saw him giving cards away to kids. Like I saw him give one. A kid came up to me right by his table. I'm giving stuff away. It's. I wish everyone could be like that. I wish everybody approached the hobby that way because they kind of have an obligation to, right? There are people out there. I mean, one family with reckless cards, right? Their daughter got to meet Ryan, right? And then took pictures and showed her on like TikTok, and then took pictures with us. And the boys at school were like, "Oh, we know who Ryan is." And you guys, the Luka, Tigers, and Brown guys too. Like, you have. I know we want to make deals. I know it's business. I know everybody wants to sell their cards, trade their cards, meet people, make connections, you name it. But you do need to make sure that you're taking care of the folks who are there. And this may be the only time they get to see you this year. Because, if you don't, then you're not going to get a second chance at it. They're going to go home and say, okay, that was not what I was expecting. When I listen to this guy, when I watch this guy's content, when I am in the lives, I expected something different, and that person didn't make 30 seconds for me when I've spent all these hours consuming their content, listening to them, you name it. I'm not saying Stan here, Eminem style, right? Like, let's not take it to that. We get it. We're all busy, but the truth is you got to take that time, because all of us included, that is the base that we are built on. Without those people who want to meet you and take a picture with you and make sure that you have time for them, you're nothing. And it's important to remember that. And some people, I think, have forgotten it. And that would be a huge takeaway. You got anything to say to
I
that?
didn't expect you to go there, but that I couldn't agree with you more. And the one thing you mentioned, like being tired, it's a long show. Remember, it's kind of what you signed up for, is where my mind goes.
So, that was a huge takeaway for me, right? Because there are some people, like, look, Flushing breaks, they didn't have a table, they brought me like this shirt. Like, some people, they just, they're real nice. And I'm not saying, hey, it's nice if you buy me a shirt. The point is, you're gonna have these interactions. Just make sure you're trying to do whatever you can. There's like 37 people.
You don't know who's watched you on the other end and how much they're looking forward to meeting you, whoever you are. You might not realize how maybe you feel like still a micro influencer, but if you take a second and realize there's people on the other end that look up to you.
And the flip side, guys, right, is if you're listening to this and you're one of those guys, and I know some of these people do, right? People who are important. Remember that you weren't always that. Remember, you didn't always have that many thousand followers. We actually ran into, when we were having lunch with Rob G, we actually ran into a guy, and we're like, hey, what are you doing, man? He's like, I'm an influencer, which, it's amazing that that's what people call. And he had a shirt, and he had all the sponsors on the back of his shirt, but, all affiliate sponsors. But let me tell you something. Really excited to be there.
Yep.
I looked at his page, just lives on top of lives, telling everybody who's listening, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's who I'm seeing. You're not at the place. Come take a look. And yeah, the guy didn't have a table, right? So I get it. It's a little different comparison, but that was you before. That was you a year ago, 2 years ago. The hustle, the grind, the making time for everybody so you can build up your name. So don't forget what got you there. I know we're not going to.
So I always think like, like there's micro influencers, macro influencers, right? So we always compare to the millions of followers, but like there was 100,000 people at the show, right? Let's say every person recruited 3 friends, right? Yep. Everyone's kind of a micro influencer. They have 3 friends. Imagine what the hobby would be like in 5 years, right? Just following that math. Like, you laugh, but it's so.
It's really true.
Listen. And I was compared back to 2013 Bitcoin. That's all Bitcoin was. Like, if you guys think about what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was, it's the biggest asset there is with no marketing budget. Their only marketing budget was word of mouth.
Yep. So. Listen, 37 people went home with Mookie Betts slabs that didn't have one, and they didn't pay for them. So I was doing whatever I could. I do my part. Mostly kids. So
I'm glad your voice is back.
Yeah,
people
man.
couldn't understand you towards the end of that last episode.
Yeah, man. My voice is doing good. So 3 before I move on. 3. Here we go. Nat Turner. I've had some fun stuff. Nat, PSA, Golden, buying, bulks that we had Nat on. I got a chance to talk to Nat during the show. Spend a little time with him. And what I will come away with, you're saying the most influential thing, the biggest takeaway is, I'm going to say I'm now in the camp of the hobby is in good hands. I am. I think that guy knows what he's doing. I think he does view things from an eye of a collector. And yet, when he needs to be all business, when the line is wrapped around the door, he does it with a smile. He says hi to people. I saw him saying hi to a bunch of other folks. People know who he is. He's a recognizable face. He doesn't walk around with security. He doesn't walk around with a barrier to him.
That wasn't security. There was just some people I met, Cage.
No, yeah. You had a lot of.
Cage is getting a call from my security guard right now. He's saying, "What are you saying about him?" I don't know where Cage went. I literally can't understand what happened. I'll tell you guys something that will surprise me. So it's obvious PSA slabs are number one. Like when you get to see all the slabs, kind of laid out at the show, you'll come back in with your security. But I'm telling people a little bit what surprised me. I'm curious if you agree with this too. It's so cool. Like
Can you
when
hear me?
yeah, we can hear you. When you walk around the show, you get to actually see firsthand what people own, and obviously PSA slabs are number one. You see a lot of BGS slabs, but I'm going to get back to BGS. SGC's third, but HGA is a close fourth. And there's a lot of cases with HGA slabs in them. But I'll
Yeah.
tell you, there's not a lot of cases with new BGS graded slabs.
No. And the trade nights too, by the way, young kids. I saw a lot at the trade nights, right? HGA might have been half or a third of people's, they lay them out. I saw a lot of Burrows. I saw a lot of football stuff, like the recent stuff where it's optic color, Herbert Aqua of optic, right? That stuff, it didn't make the cut right now for sending it in to PSA. And people aren't sending it to Beckett. We're seeing them more and more in HGA slabs, especially the ones with colors, because the colors really look good. We saw some Mbappe purple. We saw some cool cards with color matches. It's a really cool thing. By the way, I apologize for cutting out there. That was JetBlue's callback customer service. I dialed them last night at 10:30 when the flight was getting delayed and wanted to speak to somebody at customer service. And they said, we'll call you back in approximately 285 minutes. And I said, okay. I gave him my number, and it turns out that was a huge understatement, because it is now it's like 20 hours later, and I get a call back from customer service at JetBlue. Sorry, guys. It's amazing.
285 minutes.
It was like 20 hours later. It was over 1,200 minutes later. I don't know what the heck was going on there. So I apologize.
Hobby's in good hands, Nat Turner. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, man. No, but listen, just to put a thing on it, to put a bow on it. He obviously knows what he's doing. There is a humongous backlog. I was told that as soon as they opened up, PSA can grade a certain number of cards, and you see, oh wow, they already shut down day one. I was told as soon as they opened up, there was one person online, like second online or first online, and he dropped off 1,180 slabs to be graded there, with their $300, you're talking about $200 something per slab. It's like $250,000 in cards, that takes up a lot of the show capacity. So obviously there's an appetite for it. Obviously people still want to grade. PSA can't control that. I know they're getting through the backlog. I'm waiting for cards myself. I spoke to him about that, and I just think, it's a good, he's kind of been crowned the steward of the hobby. He's driving this hobby ship, and I think we could have done worse with who we picked. So,
did we choose him?
No, but you know what I mean. Like, people are saying we're picking him as the hobby, captain.
Well, I get messages from Card Porn telling me not to go easy on Cage, so I got to push back. I can't just say love it to all of your plays.
Card Porn, man. They were all over that kid opening the pack. If anybody didn't see this, check out Card Porn's post. The kid who opened up a pack and had a Ty Cobb signature redemption in it. He won a Ty Cobb autograph. That kid went crazy. It was like real authentic kid reaction to cards. I have it in my story right now, so you can take a look at that as well. Go for it, man.
Someone got arrested for stealing. I'll tell you, this is where my mind goes. With how many people there was, with all of literally how hard it is to be a dealer, and look at this card and you have so much attention. The fact that there isn't just 20,000 thefts every single day, I think it's just a testament to how nice people are. 1, 2, 10, whatever it is. The number is so small, and the opportunity, I feel like, is so big to steal at these shows.
It's amazing. I wouldn't even think about it. But I guess
the temptation is a killer, bro. And you don't know, desperation.
Yeah, I get it. I do, but
do you ever think about in that little vicinity how much money there is?
Yes.
Just in a 3-block radius?
Yes, I saw the line for the ATM. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It's almost as long as the line usually is for Chick-fil-A. So
dude, we're at 35 minutes. It's just supposed to be a 20-minute.
One more question, and we'll do a longer one tomorrow too.
Right,
I haven't slept in 48 hours, so bear with me, guys.
PK cards. I think this is the episodes people like anyway. Right, meow. Who's going to win the Sunday F1 race?
Did he say meow?
Right, meow.
It already was won. There was a huge crash, man. Hamilton actually he pulled his way back into third. I mean, it was a pretty nice recovery by him.
Do you feel like you've under? I'm going to give you an out. Maybe
Yeah.
we underestimated the reach of Formula One.
No,
No.
we haven't. And it's great. It's great that there is stuff there. I've already seen it with soccer. And soccer, there are products that are great. And maybe this Topps Chrome F1, the first one, is going to be great. But I've said it before. I won't go through the whole analysis. Ooh, what was that? Is that a lady there? So
You just turned on my smart TV. That's creepy.
how? By saying Topps Chrome? By saying F1? The only way this thing stays the way it is if Topps shows some restraint and doesn't start printing more and different types. But if what they did with soccer is a lesson to be learned, I mean, you guys got to look at history and realize that, you know, yours is not going to be different, right? I gave UFC as an example. Soccer is a great example also, right? I mean, every week soccer comes out, and the box prices, which were high, are coming down. The singles, which were high, are coming down. There are more and more cards of Haaland, more and more autos of Haaland, more and more Reina, more and more guys. And this product happens to be chock full of you know, quote unquote rookie cards, because they haven't really cards before. And there are also some organic fans of this. But there also are a bunch of people who are just jumping on it because they think this is the next place to make money. The same way they jumped on Marvel cards or Pokemon cards or tennis cards or whatever else it is. The Tiger Woods card that blew up. I mean, we can probably give 500 of examples from the last 2 years of that exact thing.
But there's only 20 Formula One drivers. Where do you stand on that? And there's hundreds of soccer players.
Right, there's 20 Formula One drivers for now. The season changes, and there may be some swapping out of some of the drivers now. I think the last time I looked, there were only 3 who were under long-term contract. And yes, I talk about F1. I did not know anything about it, but I'm learning, because if I'm going to be the person who is the only one out there who says F1 might not be the gold standard of cards, because if everybody else out there is going to be saying this is the only safe investment in cards right now, then I have to learn the sport so that I can actually speak with some,
There's nobody saying that.
Okay. All right. Well, good. I'm glad. Then hopefully they don't. So I'm the only person saying it's not a great investment.
People saying that F1 is a safe investment?
We went to a table and people were like, oh, this is the greatest stuff. I can't keep any of this in stock, blah, blah, blah. But I look over at the other showcase and it's just filled with F1. There's F1 all over the place. Not the point. The point is, yes, there's only 20 drivers, but it's also tough to fill a product out with 20 drivers. I mean, how are people going to be buying the car card? You know, how are people going to be buying all these other, like the trophy cards, or, you know, the and even the 20? This is a very top-heavy sport. I mean, barring a 3-person crash with some lunacy in it, barring that, or barring some, some craziness, there really only are a couple of a handful of guys who are really competing for stuff anyway, and that will get old. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, I would tell you, look, play this back. We're going to be doing an episode a day for the next forever. So, the end of next year, give me another 16, 18 months when there are 7 products out already of F1, and Lewis Hamilton has 19 refractors of different versions of colors, and everything's out there. And just look at the UFC stuff. Everybody loves Conor McGregor Prism. You picked up a gold Conor refractor for me. You showed it to me out of 50, and it was like nothing. It was a couple $100, and no one was touching it. No one was buying it. It was a PSA 10, so it's amazing, right? It really is. And look, it could be the greatest thing on earth. It's not going to be something I get rich on, because I just don't see it. I don't see myself watching it per se. Although I watched some today. Crazy stuff went on in that race. It was a nutty race. Got one more, or are we going to end on me talking about F1 again? I'm going to become the poster child.
Well, I think it's important to talk about F1 because before the show, I didn't know much, but 20% of the tables have F1, and they're interested in having conversations about it. And I was learning, so it's a market which I was curious myself. Are prices at their peak? I think that there's still opportunity actually in F1 from some conversations I've had.
So I will say this, right? You're going to give me an out. It's not an out. right now, there's a market for F1. Right now, there is. My concern is not that it's a fake sport, not that there's no demand for it. It's that the demand is there, the supply is not. And there are a lot of people who will buy in, but they don't need to buy in the Hamilton's first card, rookie card, best card. They just want to get a Hamilton card, right? That's where I get a little nervous about F1. But to give some credit to it, right, and to the people who have been on it, like Double Coverage, who I think were the first ones to ever talk about it, there's obviously a market for it. And there was more F1 than there was Marvel cards. There was more F1 than there was Pokemon cards, right? A lot of the same people who were on F1 now were on Marvel and Pokemon, though. So we take that with whatever it's worth. And I would even say, believe it or not, I think there was more F1 than hockey. There's more F1 than golf. There's more F1 than tennis. So, yeah, I mean, for this particular show, F1 would be right behind baseball, football, and basketball. So you can't ignore it.
So you once famously coined cardboard relevant, right? So
yep.
I'm coining, and I don't think I'm coining this, but I'm going to use this culturally relevant, okay? And I think ideally you want to invest in cards that are culturally relevant and cardboard relevant. LeBron James, Tom Brady. They're culturally relevant and cardboard relevant. Other case scenario is it's cardboard relevant, not culturally relevant. So what I mean by that is football is literally like religion in America. If you guys think about it, it's like you go to church and you watch football. That's Sunday in America. Basketball, you go out, any parks, people are playing ball. Right now, I think Formula One is very cardboard relevant. Demand is very fleeting when it's not culturally relevant because there becomes that shiny new toy in sports too. So that's actually where I'm looking at it.
I like it because, I mean, most people know who Tom Brady is. Most people at a barbecue will tell you who LeBron James is. They'll be able to tell you about basketball and maybe even tell you who their favorite team is. Most people, even most people at this show in the hobby, can't name the F1 teams. Right. They don't know McLaren's from Ferrari, from Aston Martin. They don't know that. They just don't. The guys who are watching it know it, right? We even have an F1 group, right? And Double Coverage came in today and talked about how, that, after this happens, you've won enough championships to know you got to change your tires. And even Lou, to his credit, is like, all right, I don't even know what that means. I got to go look it up. You know what I mean? Like, so there's varying degrees. I give people a pass on it. You could be a fan and not know everything. There are different levels of knowledge, but as far as cultural relevance go, right? I mean, most people are not F1 folks. Although it turns out one of the little kids I'm surprised. I don't want to. It's not an out. Do this like a weird person behind you.
No, it's just a human being, man. There's other people that live in this little complex.
I just like when little people walk behind you. It's fun. So a little girl in Ian's class, her dad, he's a huge Ferrari guy, huge F1, watched all the races and that kind of stuff. So
all right, now we know the kind of school Cage sends his kids.
We have one on my own block here. It's pretty funny.
Cage is from the Hamptons, fellas.
No, I'm not. This guy sits outside working on his cars in his driveway. There's nothing fancy here.
and just to put a bow on this, I'll ask one last question. But like, to me, culturally relevant is like, where you were when Brady played Manning in the NFC Championship, and you go to opening day with your kids. It's the tradition of how you watch the sport versus I'm just a fan. Because when you're just a fan, you don't really have that emotional connection. Now you have two people. Amazing. Three. Oh my God, Dios mío. So Drake's PC asks, fallout from the National. Is the hobby going to be on fire like in February or more like May, June? Little prediction time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm hoping that it wasn't just a nice little bump run up to the National. I'm hoping that a lot of people leave there thinking, this is good. Like we're gonna see some stuff. I think it actually does well. I think we're gonna see some more buying, and not for a reason you think. Here's the reason. Like, people are going to go home now after passing on stuff at the National. They'll look on eBay and say, look at that. That's a bargain. And it may not have been a bargain if it wasn't for them going to the National and being told some ridiculous price by somebody because they were trying to get 1.25 or 1.4 eBay comps at National. They come home and all of a sudden the eBay price now is such a discount to what they were being told all week to try to get that card. That and you get to see some cards you didn't know about, and maybe you didn't buy it there, but maybe you start doing research on it. There's a set of cards that I bought for the first time, and I'm looking for more of them.
If any of you guys, by the way, out there know anyone at Heritage Auctions, got to give them a shout out. I don't know anyone there, but they have some of the coolest collections of memorabilia and cards. They were one of my hands down top 3 favorite displays.
I bought from Heritage many times, professional place, but yeah, the stuff they have is it's really cool, right? There are a lot of great cards, One last thing, vintage. I wrote home on the plane. One of the guys is a vintage collector. He's been doing card shows. He's been to thousands of shows. Been doing card shows since the '70s, and he used one of your lines without even knowing. He's like, I don't go for the shiny new toy stuff. I don't go to this stuff. I'm buying stuff. I try to do vintage. He's like, I can't even fill my sets out anymore because even the vintage stuff that's not even like Ty Cobb, but even the vintage stuff is not Babe Ruth. It's all 4 times what it cost last year. And I said to him, though, I said, so what do you think, though? Are you going to sell some now? You can sell everything that you have at 4 times what it was worth last year. A lot of people would take that and take advantage. He's like, I'm not selling that stuff. So that should tell you the kind of the mind frame that's out there, right? Even with a 4X, people are still holding. So when you combine, a lot of, positive stuff with, people are still holding on. They still find value in it. It's great. And the last piece, if I could throw on, people got a little added sense of community, I think. Yeah. Right? It was more than just, we had some awesome LukaNation stuff. And if you listen to this for the first time or you're not somebody who's joined a group or anything like that, I ask you to do it. Just send us a message and get in a group because, we found time to meet up with folks. I would love it if our LukaNation guys would share some pictures. Andrew and I came back from a dinner and walked into a bar where we set up for some folks at LukaNation to come and meet us and kind of hang out. We walked in with Kevin Nagande from ESPN. How do you beat that, right? And our guys got to take pictures with him, ask him questions. The guy was 24 hours off doing the NBA draft on ESPN. It's cool stuff. You don't get to do that stuff too often.
And he wanted to be there too, which was kind of cool. Like it wasn't like Ronaldinho weekend at Bernie's.
It wasn't like that at all. Well, that's very funny. Labib should do that. But yeah, listen, I think when you throw that added sense of community in there, people got to see, folks that they hadn't seen. People see that there's real strength in this. People see how much money's being transacted, how many deals are being done, the type of cards that are out there. I think that all points towards some continued strength. Are we going to 10x by Christmas? I'm not going to say that, but
I'm feeling extra creative today. I don't know why. So this is what I would have done with a Ronaldinho event. Okay.
Yep.
In the middle, they had the perfect booth. I would have cleared that stuff out. I would have set up a little penalty kick shootout. And I would have got 10 kids from the show that are soccer collectors, and they would have done a penalty kick shootout with Ronaldinho.
I'm sure it would have been fantastic.
And he would have been having fun. And then it would have been livelier.
Would he have been the goalie? Is that what you're setting up?
You would be the goalie.
Oh, man, I would do that. I would stop a few. Only from the kids.
That's literally your job, so I'd hope so.
Well, penalty kicks is hard to stop. It's a lot of guessing. It's a lot of guessing. Yeah, I like the idea, man. I had a similar idea. I was going to dress him up like a clown and have a dunk tank and have people throw soccer balls and knock him into the water. And then say, who is this guy again? He drives F1?
I had a similar idea. Literally, almost identical.
Yeah, that's the deal. I love it. Yeah.
Here's one thing I wanted to bring up. It's not like, to me, Cage, I don't know if you agree with this. People are a little over leveraged in the hobby. So we didn't see as much buying because, in my opinion, and I have no data on this, but it's more just like kind of watching and having conversations. 50 or 60 or 70, maybe in a lot of cases, upwards of 90% of people's net worth is tied up in cards. And when you have a lot of money tied up in cards, what don't you have? You don't have cash.
You don't have cash.
You don't have
liquidity.
So yeah, you're like cardboard rich based on prices. But when there's no cash, there's no buying. And when there's no cash or liquidity and there's no people coming in, that's why national and community is so important. You need more liquidity. It's something I'm noticing and thinking a lot about. So I wanted to bring it up. I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's just a data point.
No, it makes sense. A lot of people are card rich. We were talking about that during the show. A lot of people are very card rich and don't really have anything to spend. Can I ask you a question? I know it's called the cage, but just like 2 minutes. we were at the show. One of the trades I was trying to make was, with that Luka, I was trying to get a Tatum silver, and the guy, we all know what it was worth, right? And I would get fair value on it, especially in a trade. But the guy said this: he's like, I need more than that because I'm into it for more. Right, I paid X for it. That's more than it's really selling for now, so I need to sell it for more than that. And that's his prerogative. And maybe he's just not really looking to sell it and wants to wait and thinks it's going to go up. But when somebody says that to you, what do you think? What do you think? Does that make sense to you? Do you have to take out what you paid for it? Would you take a loss on a card like that? What do you think?
So I was thinking about this a lot too, Gage. So in the last few days, I got in like it's kind of cool. Like I always thought like, Mom, I made it when I got internet trolls. So I had internet trolls for my comments on LeBron and Mbappe, right? And more than likely, these guys own LeBron and Mbappe cards. And I was thinking, like, that's the gambling. There it is. My bet is that I am right about my take on LeBron. Your bet is that you are right. And whose stance is right? The card prices will, in theory, go up or adjust. That's the same with the Tatum. You made a bad bet. You made a bad bet. That's all it is. So, like, you got to decide. A lot of people don't cut their losses on bad bets, Cage. A lot of people don't cut their losses. So, like, yeah, I just think that's the game. That's the gambling gene. Like, you made a bad bet. I mean, you could. I think he just wanted to sit on it.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Listen, I'm going to throw one out there. The corporate Cage is going to end with a question for LukaNation. I'd love to hear your feedback on this one, right? Maybe we'll throw up a question. I sold my PSA 9 Charizard. I still need a PSA 10 Charizard. There was no Pokemon at the show. Is that because it's the National Sports Card Convention, or is Pokemon just not really that big anymore? Was this not the place for it? Are there other shows where it's hotter? Do you guys think that Pokemon's out there? And then finally, I still have my set. Should I sell it and not go for the Zard 10, or should I still pursue that Zard 10, figuring prices might come down? I'd love to hear what. Oh, Gopher, you can answer, or we can let our community answer as well.
I think it could be cool to have like a national for TCG, because if you think about the common Pokemon collector, he's not necessarily, he or she is not necessarily identical or really that similar in demo to a sports collector. Yep. Right. So I think that they might have felt out of place going to a sports show.
Maybe. I mean, that's very possible. Very possible. All right. Well, listen, you got anything else?
Was this a good show?
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it. It's good to be home. Good to be home. Good to see the kids. Good to hopefully.
Are you too good for your home?
You're too good for your home?
I'm watching Happy Gilmore.
It's Mr. Gilmore's jacket. All right, LukaNation, listen. Thank you to everybody.
Every time I leave, they pull me back in.
No, I don't know. It must be something in the water.
This was one of my favorite episodes. Somehow it turned out great. We were procrastinating all day.
Yeah, we were. I was procrastinating on an airplane. Bye, everybody.